Spidey! Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to bring you a reaction to this Spider-Man gameplay footage, actual mobile gameplay from the upcoming Marvel Future Revolution. I want to talk for the first run through, so let's just watch this together.
Coming through.
Yeah.
And away we go.
Indeed we do, Peter.
Thwip, thwip.
Oh, yo. I cannot wait.
Ooh, that had to hurt.
Yup. Okay. I've seen this an unhealthy amount of times. I couldn't even get to that sentence. Okay, so let's break it down and let me give you guys the 5 things that I love about this trailer. And that not only speaks to this trailer, but that speaks to the entire game, which really the only drawback of this game right now, the only criticism that any content creator, that anyone has been able to levy against this game since it was announced last year at PAX in Boston, is that we don't know when it's coming out. That's literally the only drawback. Oh, and it's also going to kill all of your free time, all of my free time, and it's just going to dominate my life as soon as it comes out. So yeah, let me just break it down for you. I love this trailer. Spider-Man was actually the very first superhero before Batman that I got into as a kid. And, you know, when the first Spider-Man movie came out with Tobey Maguire, it just, you know, changed my life. So, yeah, I love Spider-Man, and I cannot wait to play a game where he's actually a super badass. And it looks like Future Revolution. It looks like Future Revolution is going to do that for Spider-Man. So, my 5 things, in no particular order here, but these are 5 things that I think really stand out and were really highlighted by this and the other trailers. The first one is the voice acting. And that's why
time to swing into action.
I tried not to talk at the beginning of the first trailer. Time to swing into action. This sounds so quintessentially. It sounds so quintessentially Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's got that sort of lighthearted, charming, you know, he's a superhero, but he could be your friend. And he's, you know, he's still kind of a nerd. He literally says thwip thwip, right? You know, it's just so funny, and it really feels like it had to hurt, right? He's literally narrating as he's beating you up, right? It's so funny. And I think, like,
you're stuck now.
like Marvel Spider-Man, they really captured the essence of who Spider-Man is. And you know what? I'm pretty sure I haven't had a voice coach or like some sort of FBI vocal scientist match this up, but I'm pretty sure that's Yuri Lowenthal. So it's funny that I mentioned Spider-Man PS4 because it sounds so much like the exact same voice actor, which would be huge for the game if that's the case. And if not, they were able to find an amazing Yuri Lowenthal sound alike. So that in itself is insane for a mobile game to be getting the same voice actors as the PlayStation game that basically revived the superhero genre on consoles, right? Along with things like Arkham Knight, is so impressive. So I just love the voice acting. Honestly, that's one of the biggest things that has kept me attached to games that I otherwise wouldn't even have played that much. Like, for example, 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. That was one of the things that just drew me into the game so much and has honestly kept me in the game, because when I play as Escanor, I hear his voice acting and I hear the lines and I feel like he's right there, and you hear Meliodas and you hear the characters. I'm hearing Spider-Man, right? It's not like I have to make up the voices in my head. He's making all the sound effects for me. So it just helps you, like, you get more into the game, and that's what makes games with voice acting just straight up superior to games that don't have voice acting for whatever reason. So I love the voice acting. I honestly cannot say enough about it in this game. And all of the voice actors that we've heard for Black Widow, Captain America, Storm, they've all been so good. Second thing I want to talk about is the skill animations and the body movement. So you've been seeing it throughout the clip. He just looks like Spider-Man, the way that he pulls the webbing, the way that he jumps up. He makes so many Spider-Man, like classic, iconic Spider-Man angles with his body. Like, you know how when he swings and he like puts his feet in a triangle underneath him, or he like swings and his body becomes this like sort of U, like kind of banana shape, how he swings around the corner here at the beginning, right? He even does the super iconic thwipping. Like, it's a small detail and you sometimes don't notice it, but and see when he does that thing where he swings and he like tucks the web sort of in between his legs. It's just so dope. It looks so good. They did such a good job with this. You can visibly see the thwips. It just looks so cool, man. And the skill animations are just insane. You just saw, I'm gonna rewind and show it to you guys again, but you guys just saw the giant web punch, like this one right here. Are you kidding me? I lose my mind every time I see that. Look at this. I gotta do frame by frame. Look at this, man. Look at this, man. He webs up a huge fist and he's just like, yo, boom. Look at how sick that looks, dude. It's almost like Sandman. It's so cool. And then, of course, just webbing everywhere. The iconic, you know, cannonball or wrecking ball attack. He webs them up. He groups them together and then throws some pavement at them. There's electricity from the Stark tech. Right, there's just so many layers to the skills here, and it's not just webbing, right? He's not just using webbing as a crowd control. I mean, of course you can use that as like a cocoon or whatever, but he's using it to swing concrete, he's using it to swing cars, he's using it to create electricity and sort of create this web of electricity to capture multiple enemies. He's using it as a giant fist to just like hammer them. Dude, it's sick. So I love the creativity with this. Obviously it reminds me of Marvel Future Fight in a big way, which is always a good thing because the animations in those games are fantastic. In that game, excuse me, not those games. In that game is absolutely fantastic. The third thing I want to talk about here is the skill effects, and it sort of relates to the second thing that I just talked about, but basically the effects of the skills just goes beyond simply webbing, right? And you can see with the different enemy types, which is a later point that I have here, but he sort of interacts with them differently. He can group up some of them. He does single target damage to other ones, and so you see this combination. You can see even like web balls that he shoots out sometimes it's webbing, and that's the other cool thing, right? Sometimes he shoots literal webbing like this, and then other time he shoots like a ball, and so this ball will probably have a different effect, whether it has like a burst of webbing or whether it has an electricity based effect behind it. So I really like the skill effects, and it's really going to keep the character feeling, in my opinion, it's going to keep the character feeling fresh, even though he'll still have like a role that he plays on your team, because this is supposed to looking like, you know, it's supposed to be an MMORPG. He's going to be more crowd control, in my opinion, than, you know, other types. But he'll still have some variation, that it's not always going to be webbing. It's not always going to be, you know, movement speed down or whatever. He's going to have different effects. Maybe he'll, you know, create weaknesses in the enemy with lightning damage or something like that to sort of switch it up and make things feel different and fresh. So yeah, super duper excited for Spider-Man. The fourth thing I want to talk about here is actually the camera angles. And you actually don't notice it as much the first few times watching it, but as I watch it over and over, I realize, sure, the camera's panning around in a circle, but it's also changing the distance. You can see here, this is a completely different camera angle than the one we were just looking at. And this feels a lot more like Marvel Future Fight. Marvel Future Fight is actually more zoomed out, but this feels more like a Diablo-type action RPG style camera where you're sort of above, you're sort of watching them, but then you have some of the angles here are... No, I don't want to do that. Some of the angles here are just so close, right? Like you're right behind him here. You're right above him, right behind him. You sort of feel more like you are him rather than you're controlling him. And you have these really cool like low down angles as well. Like these ones where it's almost like he's hitting you. So the cinematic feel of these camera angles and the fact that you can probably change around the camera angles to be closer or further. You can pan it around. Maybe there's like a free zoom type thing that we've seen in a lot of recent MMORPG games, especially from Netmarble, like Blade and Soul Revolution and stuff like that. So yeah, that's gonna be sick. Not only from like a content creator's point of view, because you could make all these like super cinematic combo pieces and things like that, but also just from regular gameplay. Even if you're just auto playing, you could watch them from a distance to see everything that's happening, or you could zoom right in and see, you know, the nitty gritty details, because it still looks sharp as heck, right? Like the graphics are just insane. And that's my fifth point, the graphics. Like these look amazing. There's so much to take in here. The background, there's like a destroyed city, there's like a train on the back, there's like cars. The webbing is interacting with the environment, right? It's webbing to things. It's sort of webbing around things, right? So it's mindful of the existing objects. He does damage to the ground, and you can see the damage on the ground. Like, there's just so much going on here. The enemies react to the attacks, and they go down. And then, you know, it looks like the other thing is that the background is specifically for Spider-Man. Obviously, there's different realms and different zones you can be in because a typical MMORPG, right? But this one looks kind of like New York, but it's a New York that's been kind of Hydra-ized, right? So I'll give you guys a few, you know, I'll point out a few if you guys have missed them. But right at the beginning, you'll see Crush the Resistance down here, and you see the Hail Hydra over there. But then you see like that classic New York cafe logo. Here you see Future of Soldiers, and you see like these new Hydra soldiers that they're working on. But then you got hot dogs over here, and you got the hotel, and you see more stuff over there, and you see the Hydra sort of blockade, right? He webs over. You see another Hydra sign there. Then, of course, you see the huge Hydra sign with the banners. I want you for the Hydra Army, which is the play on the Uncle Sam logo. And then you got the Crush the Resistance up there as well. Coming through, you see multiple. See Hydra of Tomorrow. I want you for Hydra. But then you got the classic New York City diner, right? Here we have Captain Hydra instead of Captain America playing at the theaters, right? At the old sort of 50s theater that they have here. So this is really funny. 5 cents for a hot dog? Yeah, sure. Since when? You also see the armored Hydra trucks and sort of the mini blockades that they have here. The setting up maybe for Spider-Man coming in. This looks like a completely different city though. So we sort of change. You get a nice little transition here from an old city to a different city. This is Omega Flight's logo. So you have that going on there, but you also have a ruined train. So this might be after whatever cataclysmic event happens or whatever. You have like a, you know, partially destroyed city, but it's obviously still a city of the future with all these like futuristic buildings and things going on. You've also got the hand agents, so we're in a different zone than we were here with this like old-timey 1950s Hydra city. We're now in a more futuristic city, but the hand is taken over, so we might be seeing Kingpin, we might be seeing Elektra, we might be seeing those types of enemies. You can see there, you can actually see as well other Spideys, I believe. There's another Spidey down here fighting. You see him very briefly, and then I think you can see there's another Spidey here that's webbing up these guys. Yeah, he's right there. It's really brief, but if you pause it, it's like a black and yellow colorway Spidey. There's other Spideys here somewhere. It's a little bit harder to see, but now he's actually fighting the Chitauri, which are Thanos's you know, army related to the Black Order. And there's even guys with wings, which looks super cool. These like demon Chitauri that he's fighting, and that was back in the sort of New York-esque Hydra zone. And we sort of go back and forth between the zones. But man, like, it just looks so sick. The graphics look amazing. And again, they're putting this up here for a reason, right? So there's no way that they're going to release the game and it's going to look worse, right? Because they've been hyping this up for a while, and they've also been showing us all this footage that is definitely actual in-game content. So if the in-game content, it looks like this, which I'm assuming it will, it's going to blow the socks off of every other Marvel game. Like, even Marvel's Avengers can't compete with this, man. You know, there's just no way. This is just too crisp. This is just too nice. So yeah, I cannot wait for this. We need like a dedicated video for Doctor Strange. I don't think we've gotten that one yet. Love Doctor Strange, but Spidey is probably my second favorite right now. I know Seaton made a video earlier yesterday, and he basically said the exact same thing on Twitter, I think it was, where he was like, I love Spidey, but I gotta wait to see Doctor Strange. So Seaton and I have sort of similar tastes when it comes to characters. We'll have to wait and see who else is announced, who else is playable. But yeah, right now I think my front runners are Spidey and Doctor Strange, and then as a third, I don't know, maybe Captain America, because he seems like the toughest one of the remaining characters, or maybe even like Captain Marvel to switch it up, because they've got like, you know, a physical guy, a magical guy. I need like an energy-based character that can really throw it down like Captain Marvel can. So yeah. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Future Revolution. Cannot wait to play this game when it comes out. And for those of you wondering, I will be creating a second channel and dedicating all of the Future Revolution content to that channel. So if you're worried that, you know, this channel is going to get taken over by Future Revolution content, don't worry. I'm still going to make MFF, you know, content here. I'll just also be making simultaneously Future Revolution content on a Future Revolution focused channel. So yeah, subscribe to when it's live, when the channel's up, I'll send you the link to subscribe to that. In the meantime, hit me up in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.